Hi, I'm Emily McClain, the author of today's episode, and you're listening to Gather by the Ghostlight.
All right, welcome back to Season 5 of Gather by the Ghostlight, original stories for radio theater. I'm Jonathan Cook, your host, producer, and sometimes voice actor on this thing.
And I'm Devon McSherry, the woman who is slowly stealing responsibilities from Jonathan Cook.
There it is. That's the proof right there.
I'm taking
There it is.
So, today you will be hearing a play from Atlanta-based playwright Emily McClain.
Yes, Emily McClain. She is a theater educator. She's a director, an actor. She's a playwright. She's got a lot going on with the Essential Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, which you're going to hear more about later in our chat with her. But first, you get to hear her audio play called Ground Control to Baby Tom.
You are about to meet two women. These women are astronauts who just woke from hypersleep and are ready to fulfill their mission. Their mission is to carry the first pregnancy to full term in outer space. However, when they discover there's one vial for one pregnancy, it's up to them to decide who will make history.
Now, gather around the Ghostlight, sit back and enjoy. This is Ground Control to Baby Tom, written by Emily McClain.
Be sure to stick around after the play for an interview with the writer.
I think we've both recovered sufficiently from hypersleep. I'm letting Mission Control know we're getting set up for implantation.
Great. It's exciting, isn't it? It's finally gonna happen.
They've been monitoring our status for several months now. We've been cycling together for half a year. It's to be expected that our window would be together.
I understand that. I wasn't saying it was surprising that we were ovulating at the same time. I'm saying it's exciting to be starting this journey.
It's a central part of why we were selected for this mission.
Oh my god, would it kill you to show a little emotion?
All right. I am so excited. Happy?
Better.
We've been cleared to open the container.
Are both samples from the same donor?
Mission Control didn't mention that. I would assume not, to try and provide more genetic diversity.
Right. That's probably true. Well, do you want to do the honors?
Sure.
Can I just say, before we start, I'm really glad to be doing this with you. I think we're going to be amazing mothers.
Thank you, Celeste. I agree wholeheartedly. This is gonna be a harrowing experience, but I'm proud to share it with you too. There's only one vial in here. Where's the other one?
There's a slot for a second vial that's empty. Look underneath.
No, nothing.
What should we do?
I'm gonna check with Mission Control.
This doesn't look like very much.
As I understand it, the average amount is around a teaspoon.
It always seemed like more than that.
I wouldn't know.
Well,
They're saying that during final check, there were definitely two vials in the case, and it was sealed in the temperature-controlled cabinet for the duration of the flight while we were in hypersleep. When we were reanimated and everything normalized as we entered Io's orbit, we were given clearance to open the case. They don't know what happened, but they're sending our complaint up the chain to mission admin. So it looks like there should be two vials in the container.
but there's clearly not. Did you tell them that?
Of course.
Here, let me try.
I'm sure they understand. They're not going to have anything new to tell you that they wouldn't tell me.
You are too deferential with mission control. This is a crisis.
What are you talking about?
How are we supposed to both get pregnant from one sample? One very light sample by the looks of it. Probably low to moderate sperm count. I bet they didn't even bother to get a sample from someone with a confirmed high count. Probably came from one of those neckbeards in tactical planning.
Celeste, you can't possibly tell that from a cursory examination.
You can just tell.
We could both use the same sample. It's not ideal, but truly it only takes one single sperm to fertilize an egg, and there are millions of them in this sample, even if the donor had a low sperm count, which you couldn't possibly tell from just looking at it in a test tube.
Oh.
What did they say?
They said, due to the risks involved with pregnancy in space, it was the determination of the administrative leaders on the mission that only one astronaut should be pregnant. Only one sample was provided to be used on only one participant.
But they told us...
They want us to pick.
This is irregular.
How do they want us to determine who gets to do this?
We should evaluate current health status of participants and make the best judgment?
So what do you want to do? Flip a coin? Do we even have a coin anywhere on this bucket?
This is serious. We're talking about the person who is going to carry the very first baby to term in space. It's a big deal. We need to make sure we are considering all factors so we make the best decision.
What are you talking about? We're the same age, equal health and abilities. We both have strong genes and... What? Why did you make a face?
I didn't make a face. I was simply considering our genetic backgrounds. And I think if we're being truly objective, we would see there is clearly only one correct answer.
Oh, do we? Do we see that?
It should be me. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but you know that it's the truth.
Why should it be you?
I have longevity in my family. I have no family medical history of heart disease or significant risks for cancer or mental... Well, you said it yourself. Your mother was unstable.
All mothers are unstable.
Mine wasn't. See, that's another point in my favor. Psychologically speaking, I have a very consistent upbringing from which to draw on for guidance and understanding. You are the child of a broken home and a mother with a history of mental illness.
I don't think that is relevant.
You asked me what I thought, I told you. Please don't get upset.
You think your beaver cleaver upbringing and sparkling health records make you a better candidate than me? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Please, let's hear your reasoning on why you're the better choice.
I'm just as healthy as you. I'm strong. I'm resilient. In our training for this mission, I scored higher than you on pain tolerance and psychological hardiness.
Those test measures are very fuzzy, in my opinion.
Okay, noted. But I still scored above you, so fuzzy math or not, I've got that going for me.
The pain tolerance is a moot point. I plan on utilizing hypersleep medicine during delivery.
What, you're using drugs?
Well, yes, of course, wouldn't you?
No, I was going to give birth naturally. I wanted to experience the miracle of life.
That's insane.
You probably planned a formula feed too, aren't you?
It's easier to track caloric intake that way.
Typical.
This discussion is going nowhere. We need to come to a decision. I want you to admit that I would be a better candidate to carry the child if you would just remove your emotions from the equation for a moment.
Your lack of emotion is the problem, Natasha. You're this automaton. Do you think you could properly bond with a child the way I would? You're completely out of touch with the feminine side of yourself.
I don't think that's true at all. I brought lip gloss as my single allotted personal item. I'm surprised at you leaning into traditional gender roles as an argument, given your haircut selection.
Short hair frames my face better, okay? This child is going to need someone who is sympathetic, who can display a range of emotions, who can model effective empathy. Do you think you can do that better than me?
Do you think you need to be the sole provider of emotional knowledge for this future person? Is that what your mother did?
Leave my mother out of this. I told you all of that in confidence.
I'm gonna tell Mission Control that we've agreed it will be me.
I haven't agreed to that.
You're just being selfish. Stop it! Damn it! No!
Give
No! Let
it
me!
to
No!
me!
Aha!
Natasha, please. Please let me be the one. Please, I don't know what I will do if I don't... This is my only shot, you know? By the time we return to Earth, we'll be in our 50s and I won't get another chance. I want to have a baby. I want to be a mom. I would be a great mom.
I would be a great mom too.
Yeah. No, yeah, you would be. Damn it. What are you doing?
We're supposed to choose which one of us is going to be impregnated and tell Mission Control.
Right?
We can use the same sample for both of us for implantation.
But Mission Control said...
I know what they said, but they're wrong, and they're not here.
Are you sure?
I think, like so many things, We defer to authority outside of ourselves. I usually do. I'm a rule follower.
Yes, you are.
And normally I would say we must obey mission control. But there are instincts. There are higher authorities. We both would be equally good and equally bad mothers, I think.
Equally good and equally bad. Yeah, I like that.
Are you on board with this plan? It would mean disobeying mission control.
Like you said, they're not here. Okay, you ready?
Yes. Are you?
Yes. It's... God, I had something good for this. What was it? It's one small swim for this sperm, one giant push for humankind?
That's terrible.
I know. But we have 40 weeks. Come back to me. I'll have something better.
That was Ground Control to Baby Tom, written by Emily McClain. It was performed by Amy Pickrel as Natasha and Karla Daly as Celeste. All right, with us now is the writer of the story you just heard. She is a theater educator, a director, actor, and a playwright based out of Atlanta, Georgia. She's also the founding member of the groups Playwrights Thriving and The Right Stuff Atlanta. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Emily McClain. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me back. I appreciate it.
Welcome back.
That's right, you're back. Last year we did your play Tooth or Dare. I believe it was exactly a year ago, I think around July.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, I think so.
Very good. All right. So last time we already kind of dove into your journey into theater and how you got into playwriting. So to begin this, let's talk about music. What song or musician is really just gets you pumped right now and gets you inspired and gets your creative juices flowing?
I'm pretty basic in my music taste, so I stick. I listen to a lot of Dave Matthews and Ben Folds. And just when I'm like, hanging out, and then when I'm actually trying to, really buckle down and write, I don't like music with words and lyrics. So I listen to a lot of film scores. So depending on like the style of movie or that kind of thing, that can kind of like ease into the genre that I'm working on right now. So if I'm working on something that's a little more serious, those like epic kind of adventure film scores, and then something that's a little more lighthearted, romantic comedies or that kind of thing, animated films, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Very cool. Interesting. I actually do the same thing. I listen to a lot of film scores, and especially with writing, there's a lot of, I can imagine with the play that everyone just heard, Ground Control to Baby Tom, that you were probably listening to like Interstellar or something like that, Hans Zimmer.
Definitely. Well, or just, straight up David Bowie too.
There you go.
David Bowie. So that's, Ground Control is one of a series of 5 plays that are all inspired by different David Bowie songs. And they're all like, they're completely not connected other than that. So like, there's one, I call it Serious Moonlight. So it's inspired by Let's Dance, but it's about 2 girls that are on the roof of one of the girls' houses on prom night. And it's set in 1996 because that's when I was in high school.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Very nice. So I got a question. So the Bowie cycle, you write these short plays that have to do or are connected in some way to a David Bowie song, whether it be a title or a reference. Is this did you start doing this for a theater prompt, or is it just kind of an anthology you want to put together one day of different David Bowie themed works?
Originally, it was just a random prompt. We did one of the writing groups that I'm a part of had a random song assignment, and so you basically just put it on, put your iPod on shuffle or whatever, and then it came up with Ground Control. And so that was like, I listened to the song and I was like, cool. I kind of, got the gist of what, was going on in the story of the song. But then I was like, I'm really more interested in like what could be a female perspective of the conflict that could happen in space between, orbiting astronauts and the people that are on the ground.
Yeah. Now, so in this story, you got these 2 female astronauts. They're in space, and they're on this mission to carry out the first pregnancy to full term. They're orbiting around Jupiter. And then when it's time to do the impregnation, they find that there's only one vial, and it was never intended for both of them. Mission Control didn't intend for both of them to get pregnant. So then the conflict comes in of them deciding, okay, so who's going to be a better fit mother? I know you got the title from the song, but as far as the story itself, I know you wanted to focus on the female aspect, but is there anything else that kind of inspired this story along the way?
Yeah, so when I was pregnant and having my own children, I mean they're much older now, but that was sort of the 2012 to 2014 window, and that was a really big time for like the mommy blogs and the idea of like online pregnancy groups and that kind of thing. And as a like first time pregnant person in 2011 to 2012, that I spent a lot of time just sort of lurking in those forums and watching just the way in which people acted about motherhood and decisions about motherhood. And I think anybody who is trying to like have a baby or raise a child, there is so much unsolicited and
Advice.
unwanted advice. And you get
Absolutely.
it from like your real people, which I think is a little bit more valid. At least those people really do know you. But then to have a lot of unsolicited advice from like randos on the internet. And it seemed like this culture of judgment and of the inability for anyone to be able to perceive of a world where multiple different ways to raise children could all be right and could all be okay. And so that really informed a lot of the tension between the two characters in the play, because that's kind of where they're coming from, these extremes of like, a very crunchy kind of natural granola type mom, and then somebody that's more
Science based or
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Mhm.
yeah, as when I was pregnant, I also felt that same sort of pressure, is that there's information everywhere and a lot of it is contradicting and you don't know what's best or if there is a best way. And so it just adds that much more pressure to being a parent. So I very much related to both of those women and
Yeah.
those conversations for sure.
And one of the things too is that how the like quote unquote mommy wars, right? That really pits women against each other in this really unnecessary competition yet again. And one of the things that I was really hoping for with the play is that both the characters end up coming to an understanding for each other and a support for each other, in spite of a system that has pitted them against each other. So that was really important to me too, because I had an early draft of the play where it ended up being sort of a like, farcical physical comedy kind of thing. And they ended up smashing after fighting over the vial, it ended up
Gotcha.
smashing, and then neither of
Everyone
them got it.
everyone
And I
loses,
found
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it was funny, and I was happy with that, but it also felt a little bit unsatisfying to me, because it's like, I think there's another way for them to come to an even higher level of understanding through the plot events.
Yeah.
So that ended up, I scrapped that draft and changed the ending to what it is now.
Yeah, I think them finding the compromise at the end is really what puts the bow on the whole story.
I do too.
And some of the jabs that Natasha makes towards Celeste about bringing up her mother's instability, the mental illness. Did you? Because I mean, some of that kind of sounded pretty harsh. Did you ever feel like pulling back some of those jabs, or did you want it to have that much of an impact?
I think that the pressure cooker that they're in, is going to push them to say things that they probably wouldn't if they were in a less volatile situation, But I also think in a 10-minute play, you have, a set number of pages, and you've got to dial in, and sometimes it takes those more intense, intense jabs to get the to get the engine of the story really cooking so that you can get that good payoff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you ever think to write a sequel to, address whether they get pregnant or not, or anything like that?
Follow up on that with the title being "Ground Control to Baby Tom." Is that not only a David Bowie song, but is it also foreshadowing that one of them is going to have a male that they name
boy
Tom? At least one of them will be successful.
I haven't really considered writing a sequel to it. I kind of feel like I like the story and as it's encapsulated in the 10-minute. But I think definitely if it were to continue, in my mind, they do both have successful pregnancies that they're able to carry to term. And yeah, who knows? They could have a little baby they name.
Yeah, I think that keeps with the hopefulness that they end up with is that rather than smashing the vial, they decide to work together. I hope society were to travel in that vein and we can all work together.
We can all hope for that utopic sci-fi future rather than the other end.
Yeah.
Now you have a lot of cool stuff going on in Atlanta with the Essential Theater. Your full-length play, The Rock in the Hard Place, which I do believe on the last interview you had mentioned that title, but now here it is. It's having its full-blown premiere. I believe it happens in August. So tell us what that process has been like for you with because the cast was just announced. I saw you post about that.
Yes,
That's good stuff going on.
They just officially announced the cast. It's awesome. The director, Kyle Brumley, is fantastic. I'm super excited and of course really grateful to be back at Essential with the full production. So last summer my play was part of the Bare Essentials reading series. So it was just a staged reading of a draft and to get to work with actors and with Kyle directed that reading as well. And so to hear the play for the first time out loud at last summer. And then I made some revisions and everything and then submitted it again. And it was selected as the winner for the Essential Theater Festival. So it's going to get a full production and it'll open on August 16th at the Seven Stages Theater in Atlanta. So if you are local or feel like making a trip,
not far from us.
It is a heavy play. It's based around a young woman who is working to exonerate her father. He is on death row at Telfair Prison in Georgia, and she finds some information that she believes could free him if the right people were able to help her with that. So it is about both, our justice system. It's inspired very strongly by Georgia Innocence Project cases and that kind of thing. So the idea of like looking at how we as a society implement the death penalty, who it really impacts, and then the ways in which there are these insurmountable barriers for people to try and get justice. For wrongfully incarcerated folks. So it deals with some pretty heavy stuff, but the cast is just absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see how the process develops and to get them up to a real production. It's very exciting.
Yeah. Congratulations!
Congratulations! Now,
Thank you.
I read this play a few months ago. I told you when I read it, I was like, oh, this is so good. And one of the things that really just that ending of this play, I was totally not expecting. It's a very tragic story, and I love the way you pull it all together. And you seem like you were going one way with it, but then it's like, oh, okay. It was very well done.
Thank you. I used I don't know if you're familiar with Edwin Wong's risk theater model of tragedy.
I've submitted works to him before. And actually, it's funny that you say that, because when I was reading this, I was wondering, I was like, she's taking a risk, and this kind of fits that risk theater model that Edwin Wong came up. Yeah.
Yeah. And this play, much earlier draft, I think it was my 2021. It was a semifinalist in the risk theater, but the play has evolved. I mean, the ending is the same, but the structure and a lot of the nuance has evolved in the revision process to what it is going to be presented at Essential. But yeah, it was written with that model in mind because I'm really fascinated by that in terms of like modernizing tragedy, and for us as a theater community, right, to kind of embrace a new way to think about character dynamics in a way in which I'm very fascinated by, like how characters' decisions, can become these kind of hinge points and linchpins that change the trajectory of a whole story. And I think that the risk theater model just lays that out in such a really easy and accessible way. For writers. So I really enjoy it. And like I said, I'm not a paid advertiser or whatever, but
I understand.
I really did get a lot out of his book. And was it informs a lot of my writing.
Very cool. All right. So that opens August 16th. And how long does it run for?
So it runs for 3 weeks. It's in rep with Peter Hardy's play, The Other Side of the Picture. And so Peter's play opens on August 9th, and then Rock opens on August 16th, and then they kind of alternate in that. But the specific festival schedule is on essentialtheater.com. And there's plays, there's Bare Essential readings as part of the festival. We'll have our 10-minute play boot camp showcase that'll be folded in with the festival this year too. So it's a lot of really, really cool, exciting stuff. So Essential is awesome, and I'm really happy to be working with them again.
I love it. So Essential Theater actually isn't far from where we are. We're about 2 hours away. And last year when you were doing the 10-minute boot camp showcase, I was able to go and check that out, and I kind of want to do that again this year, and I also want to see the Rock and the Heart play, so we're totally going to try to make that happen and to come see both those. So
thank you.
As far as the 10-minute boot camp, the play boot camp, are you the one teaching all that again this year?
Yes, so Amina McIntyre and I are co-teaching that again, and that'll start in July. I believe that registration is not full yet. We do cap it at 12 students just because we have the showcase option and all of that just to keep it. But I do think there's still a few spots left if people are interested and want to check that out. It is in person, so you would have to be, local to Atlanta. But we're lucky enough to be at Theatrical Outfit for our class space this year, so that'll be cool too, to get to hang out at another Atlanta theater. It's always so nice to have these opportunities to get connected and tapped in with other like different theaters. I mean, we call it like a big little family, right? It's like there's a lot of different people, but it's also incredibly small in that there's so many venues and things, and so it's nice to branch out and hang out at a new spot too.
I just want to say how much I appreciate you and all the people you work with in promoting people trying out playwriting. And I know you're a teacher as well for high school, so fostering that love of theater for them and in your community. We also obviously like to promote works that have not been seen. And so I think it's great what you guys do out there.
Speaking of which, she is also a theater educator, musical theater educator for kids.
Oh, fantastic!
Yes, it's not part of an actual school. It's like an after school activity sort of thing. So we teach theater and acting and improv and all sorts of stuff to help
that's fantastic.
Get more people involved. It's fun.
I mean, I think that's incredibly important to me. I mean, it's a huge part of who I am as an artist, right? As, theater educator, and specifically, like, I love teaching dramatic writing. I love, this was my first year with my School of the Arts kids that we had our dramatic writing class as part of the full curriculum for the conservatory students. And so that was really awesome. I mean, it was the highlight of my day, every day that I got to teach and hang out with those kids and get to celebrate their writing and to see them grow as writers and to gain confidence in the quality and the worth of their own stories, right? I mean, I keep I harp on that all the time. I do it with my adult students as well, is that like you have wonderful and valid stories, and it's just about getting the energy and the focus to be able to write it, to get it down on paper in a format that people can follow and understand, and then, sharing your work, and finding your community that's going to appreciate it, because that's the other thing, that I think it's getting people excited about new work and about original plays and that kind of thing. It's also, it creates an obstacle of like, well, what if I don't feel like I'm writing for a particular audience, or what if I don't feel like my writing sounds or looks like what other people's does? And it is about, theater is huge and a vast art form. And so even if you don't feel like you're writing the kind of things that you're seeing around your community is out there. You just have to be willing to go find them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely an audience for everything, because we are a social species, and like you will find someone who appreciates what you do.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as your the people that sign up for your 10-minute boot camp, are they typically new writers, or are they maybe writers that have written full lengths but they kind of want to enhance their skills of writing the shorter form? Because that could be challenging for some people.
I think it's a mix. We did have this last time. We had some just very, brand new or emerging playwrights who'd maybe only written one or two things. We had some veteran folks who, exactly like you said, that they were like challenged by the limitations of the 10-minute play. And I really talk about how if you can write a strong 10-minute play, you can write any length play, right? The skills that you develop as like writing in that shorter form are completely applicable to longer works. And I think it makes your longer works stronger if you know how to condense things and how to bring things to, a tighter conclusion, right? So in first draft mode, we're writing and writing and writing, and then it's about going back and revising and trimming and cutting away and really getting it down to what the essence of the story and the characters are. And once you can't cut anything else, then, you should, you should send it out and share it with people. And it's hard to know, I think that's why the idea of like staged readings, that process of play development is so critical, because you've got to hear it out loud by other actors, so that because you, as a playwright, you hear it and you're like, ooh, that's extra, that's fat, that's, we can trim that, we can get rid of that. It's still like get to the meat of the story as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely inspiring. I can tell you, like last year when I went and watched the 10-minute boot camp showcase, not only was it the opportunity to kind of look for other new works to possibly produce on the podcast, but it gets my brain working. That's something that, and we're located in Augusta, but that's something that kind of we would like to do here. Just have like a short play writing class that, we can help workshop some stuff for new writers. So I may reach out to you and for some notes on
tips and tricks.
I'd be happy to. Yeah, I love sharing, and I think that the more the merrier, like we want everybody writing, we want everybody creating that wants to. It was something that I came across, because I haven't been writing my entire theater career, right? So I started teaching in 2005, and then I really didn't start seriously writing until about 2017. And so like that period of time where I was just sort of like just directing and just, working with my students and all of that kind of stuff. And I found that like the quality of scripts that were written for young people at the time was pretty pitiful. And so this idea that like there's more interesting stories to tell really, pushed me. And I think that a lot of people maybe feel like they have to have some kind of formal training or anything like that, or go to school for playwriting or screenwriting. And of course, those are wonderful. Like if that's you have that opportunity and you want to do that, that's great. You'll definitely be a stronger writer going through a program like that. But it's also not a requirement. It's not brain surgery. you're just out telling stories, and you develop and grow just like any artistic skill the more you do it.
Nice. And is that also when students have their plays written, is that showcase also happening in August?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, keep me updated on that, because we definitely want to try to go to see that again.
That'd be super fun.
You have another thing going on with She Atlanta. You have a play called Plan B. So I'm not as familiar with so tell us about that script, because I'm not as familiar with that one as the other ones we've already been talking about. But I saw you posting about it, and I was like, that's interesting, because our last playwright, Jillian, she has a play going on with
I'm
NYC.
with Jillian, and I'm so excited. Yeah, she's in She NYC, and then I'm in She ATL. It's all part of the same festival of works. There's one in LA, there's one in Dallas, but they feature new plays by female identifying playwrights, and it is a fully produced play within the festival. So in the Atlanta She ATL festival, there's 4 of us, and the play that I'm doing, Plan B, I call it a politically charged romantic comedy.
Nice.
It's a 2-hander, but it is about 2 congressional staffers working for a United States senator, and the woman character really is she idolizes the senator they work for. Like, she really thinks that she's really put him up on a pedestal, and thinks that he's just this champion for progressive values and for women's rights and access to abortion care and all of those types of things that he has said in the past that he believes. And then when he decides that he wants to enter the presidential primary race. And so then his positions on a lot of those things evolve, so that he can become politically a little more palatable to, mainstream America, and the disappointment that she feels about that, and the disillusionment that she feels in him. And then that's balanced with Craig, who is the male character, who has a more cynical view about the political machine that they're a part of and everything. And so they have sort of a romantic, I call it kind of like a moonlighting energy, right? Like, it's that sort of they squabble a little bit, and they're both working in the office and having to kind of deal with a lot of the same things. It was just a lot of fun to get to write and to be in that sort of like romantic comedy sort of world, but also talking about issues that I very much care about, in terms of like just the way that women's issues are politicized, but then also not ever really taken seriously. So we're getting like the worst sides of all of the
short
of
end
all
of
of
the
the
stick
opportunities.
all the time. Yeah.
Very cool. And when does that one go up?
So that is up in the beginning of September. So September 9th and 10th are the performance dates for Plan B. And it's also going to be at 7 stages. So it's like Essential loads out, I think, on August 31st. And then SheATL loads in. So I'm just going to be hanging out at 7 stages for, 2 months or whatever.
Sounds great.
Dude, you're filling up our schedule, though. Because obviously,
drive back and forth.
Anytime anything, playwrights that we, interact with on here or anything, anytime if it's within driving distance, we always love to go support and all that. So we'll check our calendars. But yeah, that sounds interesting too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Then the other plays that are a part of the festival are absolutely fantastic. So it's all on SheATL, and yeah, it's a really exciting time. So I'm grateful and just happy to be able to tell some stories with folks.
You seem to be pretty active on MPX, New Play Exchange. So tell us, not exactly your favorite playwright out there, but what's a play that you read recently, or a playwright that you recently read their work that you can kind of give them a shout out, and just something that we can go dive into as well?
Oh yeah. Well, I was, if you hadn't even mentioned her before, I would have said already Jillian, Jillian Blevins. She's fantastic. And the play that is in She NYC, the Mere Waters is what it's called. It's on MPX, and it's fantastic, especially if you have any interest in like women's history or untold stories about women. This one it's phenomenal and just really powerful. So I would highly recommend that, especially if you're not in the NYC area and won't be able to go see it when it's up in She NYC. Let's see. Another person that I really want to shout out is Steve Martin. If you know him, Steve G. Martin on NPX.
That's not the Steve Martin.
No,
not the Steve Martin everyone's thinking.
He's my the
Yes,
Steve
he's
Martin.
your Steve Martin. He's our Steve Martin in the playwriting community.
In the playwriting world.
Gotcha.
But no, his true gift, I think, is the master of the 1 minute play. Like that is something that's a format that I really struggle with. Like, I
me
think
too.
the 10 minute is where I'm like, that's as low as I can go. I can't do the 1 minute. But it is just his ability to distill a beautiful concept or a moment into this like pure theatricality, and it's just like, oh, it's this little perfect chef's kiss of a moment. And he's just got so many of them, and short plays as well. And then one other person that I do want to shout out is Scott Sickles, because his plays are all just fantastic. He's got a wonderful trilogy of plays that starts with Marianas Trench. And it's a sort of a sci-fi love story, but set in kind of a dystopic post-apocalyptic America where like there's we've been sort of divided into these groups and everything. But it's also, all three of those plays are phenomenal. So yeah, those are my NPX recommendations.
Nice.
There's so many. I love NPX. I love the community that it fosters. I've met so many wonderful friends, and just to get to read and be excited about, what other people are doing. It's good. And I think it really encourages that kind of Uta Hagen concept of like being a generous artist, right? This idea of like you create space for other people to share, and then you get to share, and then everybody is a little bit stronger and better and more engaged because of that, right? And I think that NPX creates that very community, that is about celebrating the work and about finding your people, So, yeah.
And I just want to say, like, we bring up NPX a lot. The writers we have on bring up NPX all the time as well. I just want to say we're not endorsed at all by NPX. Anyone listening,
Right.
people that always hear us mention
I
New Play
know.
Exchange and NPX.
Yeah. We just love it.
It just happens
So.
to be that all the playwrights that we interact with, we're all on this platform, and it's great to kind of read each other's works,
Great way to
and it's a
connect.
great way to not only learn how to be a better playwright by experiencing other people's works, but you can get your own work up there and get input from your fellow writers. It's great.
Yep. Yeah, and I think NPX filled a massive void for artists.
Oh, yeah.
It created a platform and a community that we didn't have before. And so that was, I think the reason why people are such positive champions of NPX. But yeah, and I tell, my students, we have a school subscription to NPX. So anytime that they are on their school laptops and things like that, like they can access the entire database and everything. The school subscription doesn't allow them to like leave recommendations or anything like that, but they do have access to the work, and it's really exciting when they come across like a play. Like I had several students read, I don't know if you're familiar with Daniel Prilliman, also on NPX, fantastic. But they read some of his plays, and of course, they tend to be a little bit weird, dark, gory sometimes, and they were all so excited about it. And to get them talking about plays and about like what they're seeing that they've never seen before is one of the most exciting things. So, it's a huge resource for all of us.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't that long ago. Earlier this year, we did a Daniel Perlman play on here for a limited time only. The bread play.
Yes.
Daniel's awesome. He writes amazing stuff.
He
that
does. He
just
does. He's
not
another
only
one.
will shock you sometimes, but also just be like, oh, that's interesting. Very good. Very good. So you have a lot of stuff coming up. Is there anything else that we missed that you need to plug? Anything going on after SheATL or?
I'll be at the Appalachian Theater Festival at the end of September. They're doing a reading of my play Cheek by Jowl, which was the second full-length play that I ever wrote. And this will be the first time that it's had a public in-person reading. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's funny too, because it had been such a long time since I'd written it, and I'm the absolute worst about I can't remember my characters' names. I'm terrible. But I was I wanted to say the ground control girls' names, but I could only remember Celeste. I couldn't remember the other one, and I was like, damn it, I don't know. But I joke about I have about 150 students a year, right? And so I've got to have their names. Plus I've got all of my friends, my family, my network of theater people that I need to know. I literally don't have room for fictional people. So fair. While I'm working on a play, I remember and I know them very well. And then the minute that I kind of put it on the shelf, even for a little while, I'm like, I remember your personality, but I don't remember your name. I'm sorry. So
you don't have a face to put with the name, so it's fair.
I don't know if that's something that's common or if that's just me being, I don't know, whatever, squirrel brain.
All right. And where is the best place for people to stalk you and kind of stay up to date on what you're doing? You got social media or a website or anything like that?
I wish I had a website. I wish I could be a grown up and have a website. And I keep telling myself, I got to do that. And then
you have your MPX page that people can go to. So
I do. Yeah. So I'm Emily
legit.
McClain at MPX. So you can search me and see my work there. And then I'm also pretty active on Instagram for all of my playwriting stuff. So that's Emily McClain 234 on Instagram. But that's the easiest places to keep up with me. So one of these days I'll be a real person and have a real fancy website, but today is not that day. Sorry.
Well, awesome. Well, keep doing all that cool stuff you do. Keep creating. I'm serious. We're going to try to go to all your performances going on and your showcase. We'll do our best.
Awesome.
We get a little overwhelmed doing this thing, but yeah, we're gonna try our best to go check that out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us and for letting us produce your audio play. And hopefully we'll get to collaborate with you again.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for listening. And if you are associated with a theater and you would like to produce the play you heard today on your stage, send an email to gatherbytheghostlight@gmail.com, or you can contact the playwright directly by finding her profile at newplayexchange.org. And if you'd like to continue to help us grow and you want more video content, please subscribe to the Gather by the Ghostlight channel on YouTube. And if you'd like to have some cool Gather by the Ghostlight merchandise, t-shirts are available at the merchandise link in the show notes. You can also find the Gather by the Ghostlight annual companion books available at Amazon. Cover art for this episode was created by illustrator David Curtis. Intro and outro music, as always, is provided by artist JK47. And if you enjoy this podcast, maybe you're a longtime listener, or maybe this is the first episode you've ever heard, let us know. Please leave us a rating or a review in all the places that you can. That kind of activity, it really does help us get discovered by more listeners like you. And also be sure to follow Gather by the Ghostlight on social media to stay up to date on new episodes. I'm Jonathan Cook. And as always, stay safe, and I'll see you next time we gather by the Ghostlight.